Hello. How's it going, peoples? Might wait probably a few more minutes here just for a few more people to end up showing up. And then we'll get into it. I'm recording this locally, apparently, according to my stream thing, so I will be able to put this on YouTube if for some reason Twitch doesn't keep it around or something like that. Who knows? But basically, I'm going to change the title of the Twitch thing quick. Let's see, what is it called? libc. Alright. So, a little bit of a background on what we're going to be looking at. So, I was thinking of cool little demos I could do live that wouldn't take terribly long, but they would be decent to see kind of my thought process of how I go through things. So basically back in earlier this year or later last year, I can't remember exactly when it occurred, I ended up finding through, not through fuzzing or anything, but just actually using libc, I ended up running into a pipe bug. So I had a pipe exposing a serial port on one of my VMs, and I had a Python program that was connecting up to the pipe to read and write to the VM. And what I noticed is that I would get this really strange corruption coming through when I'd run the Python program, and I might be able to redo that. But basically, the other day when I was doing the work on the VM fuzzer, I was in the Tropos folder because this is where I was stealing a lot of the OS code from, and I noticed this file called pysploit.py, and I'm like, I don't remember what this is. This has nothing to do with a trading operating system. And I opened it up, and I'm like, okay, I remember this. It's when you basically you open a file, you open a pipe with read and write. If you don't have plus, nothing happens. Well, if you don't have plus, it behaves as it should. And then if you read from it, you get some very strange stuff. So if I actually spin up a VM right now and get that pipe open, I don't know if this will necessarily work. I have this lifted into like a standalone thing, but I can try and get this to work. Currently, OS, if we get this pipe running and we run pysploit, what you'll find is I'm just doing a write to the serial port, and then I'm doing a seek. I don't think that seek is required. We'll see that in a second. And then I do a read from it, and I print out the read. And if I run this here, given I can actually write to that, because this might not be listening, let me try actual Atropos here, because that should still listen on the port. Given I haven't built it, this should still be my trading platform. We'll see if this boots up. So, failed to start. Not a known floppy image. Okay. Oh, I see why. It's because I have this OS currently configured for hardware development. Boot, BSP. So what I have to do is I have to make it so it doesn't use Pixie. If I disable Pixie and then rebuild it, it should be able to boot in Hyper-V. And it looks like it's loaded up enough. We'll see. See if I can run this. If not, I'll actually open a pipe and I'll just sleep on it. So here there's, I'm going to actually manually open the pipe because I guess I'm not going to be able to demo how I actually found it, but I did find it through a normal circumstance. So if I run this, what this will do is it will just create a name pipe called shitpickle, and I guess I'll change that out here. The reason I want to show the Python part is because the Python has more interesting printout. It's kind of like what I saw. If I connect up to this, come on, buddy. Let's see, create pipe. That pipe's open. It might not be open to other processes, is it not? It should work. Maybe it's the seek. Okay, invalid file mode. Valid file mode. That's strange. Did I? Okay, file not open for writing. Okay, perfect. So if I open this for read plus, and I run this, what you'll see is I write to the file, and then I print read, and this is clearly binary gibberish from Python. So this is actual Python, I guess, probably coming from the stack, essentially. And then there's like some text in here, which is probably just some Python help stuff that was loaded up in the binary at the time. And this is kind of what I saw when I initially did it. And I think it works without read binary as well. It should work with normal read. We will run that. Yeah, so here you can see it again. It's same thing. And this is definitely not what I'm actually reading from this port, which is literally returning nothing. I create the pipe and then I sleep. And this is like stat trap off of Python. And I was doing this for my OS dev, and it really actually, as much as I love seeing crap like this, it was pissing me off because it really got in the way of being productive. Can I increase the font size on my shell? I should be able to increase that a little bit. Let me do that quickly. Oops, I think I just changed the defaults. Oh well. Oh man. Yeah, it's not technically libc, it's the MSVCRT stuff, but I call it libc because that's what people are more familiar with. But you can just see this is kind of how it behaves, and if I bring it over to all over to native code and I run the same thing without the sleep and this with libc, what it does is it opens it, it writes 42 to the file, only 1 byte of 42 as I was before, and it doesn't have to be 42, it can be any byte from what I remember. And then I zero out the buffer and I read into the buffer, and then I dump out this file, dump bin, and then I print some more information. But if I run this, oh god, no. Oh no, the dreaded. Okay, so if I run this here, what you'll see is it prints out the contents of the buffer, and it also prints out the location of the buffer, and the reason I do this is to demonstrate that I'm definitely leaking some sort of a stack-related pointer, as buff is on the stack, and this is what I'm getting leaked back. And if I actually open up that file, pipe, this is the actual dumped output. You can see there's not nearly as much stuff going on here as there was in the Python version. However, this is where I'm getting the EF blah 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 176301. So there's definitely something strange going on here, which is kind of fun to see. So basically, the point of this video is to go through the what's actually happening. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know how long it's going to take to figure out what is happening. What I'm assuming is happening is that the what's probably happening is libc will open the like a Windows a Windows read file backing on it, and it will read it into a local buffer. But for some reason, that function will return early, and it will basically leak what was on the stack that was uninitialized, which is what should have been read over. If I actually do an implementation of this where I use Windows, so let's make with win. So we're going to quickly code up a function that behaves the same as with libc, but instead of using libc, and I know you might be complaining that I'm saying libc, but it's just easier to say than MSVCRT or whatever. But basically, whatever is doing the marshalling between the Windows API and the C API, the like fopen API, is leaking some weirdness. So if we do fd equals create file, I always forget the parameters here. And let's see, I'm just going to quickly look this up. LP file name should be // we'll just take it from here. And then we'll do the same where we read this for open this for read and write. Share mode 0. No security attributes. Creation open existing. 0 null. If not, FD, is this return null or invalid handle? Invalid handle. Turn 0. So there I open the file, but instead of using libc, I'll steal this exact code and I'll replace the fwrites in a second. We'll just steal all these things. I don't think we're going to need them, but this isn't supposed to be nice code anyways. And we'll print buff right off to the screen here. Fread, this needs to be read file. We look this up quickly. I think it's, yeah, fd buffer length bread null. And this is write file. Fd buff 1 bread null. And this should do exactly what we were doing before, and here we'll just print out using libc. That's fine, that's not a problem. And if we run this guy, given I coded it right, which I think I did, windows.h, fd redefinition, of course, and handle different indirection from int. What are you talking about? Line 71? Create file, there we go. And 79, size t with LPD word. Okay. And now if we run this, it should do the same thing, except it's hanging. That makes sense, actually, because there's nothing for it to read. So basically, whereas libc immediately returned, it shouldn't have. Whereas here, using Windows, if I print this out, this will succeed. I think so. It wrote. And it might not even write. Yeah, so you can see it wrote, but when it gets the read file, it hangs, and I can prove that if you think that it's getting somewhere else by printing that. So you can see it's hanging on the read file, where for some reason libc just let it flow through, and for some reason it thought it read 1K when it didn't. As if I scroll up, you can see this bytes read is 1024. So for some reason, whatever their handler is in the middle of this is doing something weird, and it seems like it ultimately is just returning a buffer that nothing was read into but was on the stack. And you guys can try this out. This should work just fine. It works on Windows Server 2012 R2. It works on Windows 8.1. It should work on current. I think I might be one patch Tuesday short, unless it was patched in the last patch Tuesday. It's hasn't been patched yet, and so it's just kind of strange. But from here, I just wanted to demo exactly what the circumstances are with things kind of behaving strangely and the leaks occurring. And now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what's actually happening. And there are a few ways we can go about doing that. First of all, what I want to do is I want to get my G flags up and running. I want to make sure this build is a debug build as well, and make sure it repros on a debug build. It does. I also have VM, which is running a debug build of Windows, so if we need to do more stuff in there, you can see it repros on there as well. So, let's see, some people are talking. I'm just reading comments quickly. See runtime, does it still happen if you read from a pipe? Oh, not from a pipe. No, this is only a pipe related thing. So, there's a reason I'm doing this video. It's kind of a bug that obviously, it could be potentially used as an ASLR defeat or like a memory leak or something like that, but the circumstances which you'd have control of a pointer and fopen with read and write are pretty low, so I'm comfortable just doing this stream. So, what am I going to do next? What I'm going to do next is I'm going to get a debugger in here, and I'm going to see what's going on. So, man, I haven't used WinDebug in a pretty long time here, but we'll just open up this file wherever I put it. First of all, make sure ODZI, let's get my symbols loaded up. Serve sequence.symbols, HP function. Download symbols. I think that's correct. And save workspace. Edit. And we'll go into dev, vulns. Hey, pipe cork, how's it going? Pipe. Open this guy up. And we'll put a breakpoint on write file. First, we'll want to. Actually, let's do this the fun way. Let's just put a debug right here. This way we'll have the modules already loaded. And this should just pop the debugger. And let's make sure my symbols are loaded. And it looks like I have all the symbols here. And cool, so we are right here in debug rake. So maybe you have software binding a pipe to a socket? That could be. It's definitely something strange, which is kind of fun. So we're gonna go and put a breakpoint on write file. That should do the trick. Hopefully. Come on. Uh-oh, it didn't. We will try this again. I think I just hit the wrong breakpoint. Reload F LM BAE1. Let's actually examine. There we go. Kernel base BAE1. Oops. There we go. So you can see we're in the context of a write file in fclose. Interesting. Oh, that makes sense. It's just flushing here. Does it make sense? Where are we at? We're on line 112. And close handle pipe. How are we there yet? With libc, okay. Oh, that's what it's returning. Never mind. I'm being stupid. 51 is what we actually want. And 51 is right after fclose of the fopen, which is interesting. I guess that fwrite never went through, so I guess we'll put a breakpoint on the fwrite. That's strange. X star fwrite star, and we'll just go here. 81 go. And we are in fwrite, and we are pipe at 41, which is exactly where we expect to be. So another strange thing is that the write needs to occur. I'm going to quickly pull this out and print it without the write. Move on through here. Where my window went, come on. Where's the actual window associated with this? Oh, you can see it's hanging. If we break here, we should be, you can see we're stuck in read file in this trace. So without the write, this bug doesn't seem to emerge. So there's something important about that first write occurring, which seems to be strange. I don't necessarily know why you need the first write. I can try doing writes of different sizes, and I think it still comes through. Buff content 0. We'll see what file it output here. Looks like it's... If you write enough, it seems like it doesn't really do anything. So maybe having the write of 1 is important. Like I said, I don't really know anything about this bug. So writing 1, and we get the EB357 there. What if we write 3? And go, and close. Interesting, it seems like as we write more, this kind of shifts. That's very strange. I wonder if we can fwrite 0. I don't think that's valid, but we can see. Come on, go through. Yeah, fwrite 0 just doesn't do anything. So it seems like fwrite 1 is going to get you the most of the leak. If you do fwrite 3, it seems like you're going to start losing parts of the leak, or at least it's going to get shifted over. So it's very, very strange, as we can see. So we're going to go through and we're going to put a breakpoint on that fread, and we're going to see where it actually where it's getting that value from. So x star star fread star, and I think we put one here, VAE1, and we are now 42. Yep, that is where we want to be. So this is the fread that is having problems. Ryan, your video is not loading. I'm not sure why. I don't think that's on my end. I'm hoping it's not on my end. Cool. So now we're in this fread function. This is going to go pretty deep. I think it goes like 4 or 5 functions deep here. So it's. Wonder if I have. Usually in the Windows Visual Studio stuff, you will have the source to the CRT stuff. I always forget where they throw that. Lib. Nope. Nope. Is it Visual Studio? 12 VC CRT SRC, and here's the actual source. Hopefully this is relevant. We'll look for printf, or not printf, fread. fread.c. So you can see what this guy's doing in here. fread. I think fread will directly call fread s. I'm gonna run C tags on this quickly. There we go. Come on. There we go. And fread. Boom. So we can see fread just directly calls fread s with size max. Then if we go into fread s, this is doing, it's going through buffer size, element size, count, stream. If either of these are 0, it'll return 0. If the stream is null, then that's interesting. If the stream is null and the buffer size is not max, then it will memset with buffer fill pattern on buffer size, validate return. That's strange. Other than that, it looks like it just goes even deeper. I should put up a TeamSpeak so we can troll in person. This is not glibc fread. This is in the CRT one. This is, you can see the path here. Visual Studio 2012 VC CRT SRC. If we go into fread nolock s, I haven't seen anything crazy here. We're not allocating a string. We're not doing anything. Buffer is still exactly what we use. Now we're in fread nolock s. So data is buffer, data size is buffer size. So let's look for where data might end up being used, as well as where buffer might be used. So first of all, we make sure elements are not 0. Same thing with the stream. Memset if the stream is not size max. Any buff stream already has buffer. Use its size. I've never heard of this thing. Any buff. Okay. I owe your buff. Oh, I owe your buff. Get out of my buff. Any buff stream already has buffer. Use its size. Assume we'll get the internal buff size buffer. Okay, that's interesting. While the count is not 0, then it looks like we go through any buff stream, How much do we want? End bytes is, I'm assuming this has something to do, stream counts. I have no idea what stream count is. Oh, maybe that's the amount that's currently available. Does a memcopy stream pointer end bytes into memcopy s, which is, this is not what I want to see. What I think is actually happening here is there's some sort of marshalling here. Stream buff size. Why don't I just read the comments? If we have more than stream buff size cars to read, get data by calling the read with an integral number of buff size blocks. Note that the stream is text mode, read will return less characters than we ordered. So, yeah, breakout with libc. This is really easy. Can you please show create pipe? Add an on-axis breakpoint to the beginning of buff. Continue. Yeah, you have a point. I'm just reading through the code. This is kind of fun. This isn't read no lock. This is where I think it does the beefy beef. So it looks like if there's data that's already been copied to the stream, it will use that. But I think I am going to end up going with the what JDuck said and just putting a breakpoint on that, because this is starting to get messy. Although, if OS file and fpipe, a pipe device or pipe look ahead non-empty, that might be where we are. Mark is empty. Fread file, this is for actual files, I think. Man, this is really hard to read. All these underscores. Holy crap. Handle OS FHND. I'm assuming that just gets the OS handle from there. But yeah, I'm gonna put a breakpoint. Of course. It'll make it a lot easier, I guess. I wanted to read through the source, but this will probably be a lot easier. So, frame 1. And actually, we'll want to step into, and we're in with libc. Let's go here, db, and we have this buffer, and here we are, db, this buffer should be 0, and off, come on, give me the damn pointer, db this, there we go, baw1 there. Right. So move small is where we are having problems. So this is an mcopy. We are at fread line 200. I don't know if this directly corresponds. It doesn't look like it. That's no fun. Let's close this. So fread nolloc s. Then there's a memcopy in here, so we can look for mcopy s. And then it doesn't move small. So it looks like this is occurring. Let's go frame 1, db. Let's see where the source is. So here's the source. So we can see where it's definitely, this is where it's copying from. And this is what's going to end up being placed into my buffer. The size in bytes, that's interesting. I don't think that's actually, oh, it's because it's memcopy s. That makes sense. 32. And if we're in fread, this is my buffer, which hasn't changed. I'm curious where this CA61 is coming from, though. C unavailable element size 1, number 400. Stream that. C is unavailable, number to read is unavailable, so let's go up 2 frames. And we're actually in here. UB rip. I thought you were already looking at that one. Yeah, I kind of already was. But let's see where it's getting these things. Memcopy, RCX, RDX, R8, R9. So RCX is the destination. RDX was R13. So it looks like Interesting. So R13 is coming through here. R13 is where we're copying from, I think, unless actually memcopy s might have the second parameter as the length. I should check. Memcopy s, number of elements. Never mind, it's the third parameter. R8. So RDI. So if we dequeue RDI, this should be where the bytes are. So that's where we're copying from. Question is, where's RDI coming from? Looks like RDI. First of all, why? Let's actually look for this memcopy. We can probably figure this out now that we have the context here. Memcopy s. Oh, come on. Memcopy s. So I wonder if this is where we actually are. We're in fread nolock s. Memcopy s here, so I think this is where we're actually at, because you can see stream pointer db stream is our RDI. If RDI is that, yeah. So this is where we are in the code, and it's copying from stream pointer. So I guess what this is if you have some sort of buffering in the code. So I'm going to put a quick comment here, even though this is a read-only file. This is where we are. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the program. I'm going to do set vbuff on that file, because I'm curious if I disable buffering, if the problem goes away. So set vbuff, I think it is fb0, something like that. Oh, go away. Set vbuff. Set vbuff, file buffer mode. Oh, I just want set. What am I thinking? It's not set vbuff, it's set buff. Set buff to be used, which becomes a full stream. So if I do set buff, if I do null, this should make it so it doesn't use any buffering. I think so. Null. One buffer is not a null pointer. Alternatively, a null pointer can be specified to disable buffering. So this will disable buffering on that file. So we'll see if the vulnerability still appears. And it doesn't seem to be. If I break here and KB, it looks like we're in a read file. So it has something to do with buffering. This is not a kernel info disclosure. This is in userland. Sadly. I wish it were a kernel info disclosure. If it were a kernel info disclosure, I wouldn't be doing this on stream, although MSVCRT might be used in the kernel, potentially, so maybe this is a kernel info disclosure, in which case, haha, that sucks, fuck, but we'll keep going. No, I mean, like, what if you had, I mean, this is meant to be going through, like, what a vulnerability typically is. I mean, it could be a vulnerability, like what if you have arbitrary control of fopen? Like what if something is exposing a service over a socket, and you have a vuln in it, but you need an ASLR defeat, and you have a way of controlling the pipe that or the string that gets passed to an fopen, and if you get that, and if it returns the memory over the socket, then you would be able to get potentially a stack pointer or memory that would get you your ASLR defeat. So in the terms of like a remote service, if you have a remote service that's working with fopen, then you would have that. Obviously, the reason I picked this is because the odds of all those things lining up are pretty low. Like, so I'm fine with having this be a public thing. I mean, if this were an actual valuable vulnerability, like in the kernel or something like that, I probably wouldn't really be talking about it. But nevertheless, we just discovered that if we set buff to null, it behaves as it should behave, which is it will hang there on the read. Oh, come on. So we can see it's in this read file here, and that's going to be in read no lock. You can see it's going to go into the secondary function. So it seems to be some problem. So reading comments again. So you memset the memory before the fread. Where's the copied memory coming from? The copied memory is coming from the buffer that's being used for being used for just the buffering, I guess, is what I'm... If you're familiar, libc or anything using fopen will, behind the scenes, buffer any of your reads and writes, and you have to flush them if you actually want them to flush through. In this case, it seems to be some problem with the operations of pipes on a file that's open for read and write, where you write to it first, and there's no buffer. So if I do set vbuff, we're going to do a quick example where we'll set our own buffer here, and let's just set it to all A's here. Then set buff to 0x41 1024, and we'll set buff2 to be the buffer that will be internally used. And I'm curious if what we see is that it prints out A's, but it didn't. It did not. So even more specifically, it seems to be a problem with the generic buffer being used. This is a very strange vulnerability. So those are kind of all the things we know right now. It needs to be using MSVCRT, needs to be Windows 8.1 or Server 2012 or 2. I think I tried it on a Windows 8 box and it didn't work. Feel free to try it. I can actually post this code. Here, let me paste bin it quickly. Paste bin. And I'll just paste it here, and C code, and paste. So if you want this, here's the link. I'll post it both in IRC and on Twitch chat. So you can run this on your own machine, build it and run it, and it should, you should have the same problem. You'll want to take out the debug break in there, otherwise you'll have your, otherwise it'll crash unless you have a postmortem set up, which you should. Real hackers have postmortem debuggers. So it's interesting that if I do a set buff and specify my own buffer to be used for buffering, it doesn't seem to be a problem. So specifically it has something to do with the internal buffer. Now the difficulty here is trying to track down where that buffer is and how things are reading and writing to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if there's a getBuff function, which hopefully there is. Come on, getBuff, getBuff, getBuff. Doesn't seem there is. So is it getBuff? No, definitely not. Okay. Cool. So something about IO buffered mem. If I specify my own buffer, then it doesn't happen, and if I specify no buffer at all, it doesn't happen as well. So something very strange is occurring. It's happening in this stream pointer. We can look at the file structure here, so we can pull out pointer ourselves beforehand. So if we do a printf of p, we'll just run this program and put a breakpoint in that file. I know it didn't build, that's fine. BAE1, and we are here, and if we do dt of file, we will see that, where are we copying from? We're copying from pointer, so I guess it's the very first one. So if we actually print that out, drf uint pointer t on fd, that should give us the pointer that's going to be used as our buffer. If we do that, let's get it to print out. That doesn't look right. Did we print it out before we open the file? We did not. FD. Well, that's unexpected. Printf fd. Isn't that what it said? I thought that's what it said. dt file. dt file. Nope. Pointer. That's what we're copying from. Carbuff? Is that what we're using for some reason instead? I think we determined that it's pointer, because this is where we are. Stream count, stream count, stream count. Is stream the same thing as file? Yes, it is. What am I doing wrong here? Let's try +8. Doing something stupid. Okay, what is going on here? Maybe it's not initialized until later. If we go here, so maybe the buffer is not set up until after the write. Okay, what the crap? How do I say my handle? What do you mean? How do you say your handle? What does that mean? What does this mean? It's so bright, so vivid. I feel like this should be working, but it is not. Oh, there it is. So if we see this 6.1, this is where we were getting our buffer from. If we db this, you can see this is what's already in the buffer. Oh, gamozo. I say gamozo. Some people say gamazo. I say gamozo. Pronunciation help needed. But what I did here is I printed out the buffer that it's using, and then I print beforehand. So this is actually, where are we hitting this? Maybe there. Oops. Oopsies. So you can see this is what's actually in that buffer. It seems uninitialized. We'll move our debug break to right before that. So we will print out to the screen where it's going to pull from. And I guarantee you this will be uninitialized right here. So if we take this right here and db on this, you can see this is what's going to get put onto our buffer. If we continued, you'd see it prints out this O1, 5F, F1, AF, 6A, whatever. So it seems like it's definitely being uninitialized, and we can probably influence this here by doing a memset of this of 41 of 1024, get rid of our debug break. And if we run this, what will probably occur is we get A's. So you can see it's taking what is on this like internal state buffer and practically just handing it to us. I'm not quite sure why they're doing that, and it's hard to say. But now that we have this printout, we can do a debug break on that and see if anything actually is ever written to this. So we'll put a breakpoint on this before we actually do a read. BAW1. So that wasn't a failure. What happened here is nothing wrote to it. So what's happening is this is returning with nothing writing to it. Number of bytes. Number of bytes. Where is it figuring out the number of bytes? N bytes. N bytes coming from stream count. And stream count is DT file the next as a D word. So if we print out the count here, plus 8 U enter DT as D. Pipe. So at the start of it, it seems to be 0. At the end of it, does it change from 0? No, it's still 0. That makes no sense. So it seems to be using if count is less than that, which is 0, so count is count unsigned. Count is unsigned. So if count is less than stream count, which is impossible, it will use count, otherwise it will use stream count. If nbuff is greater than data size, I don't see how it's actually doing this mem copy here. If count is less than the stream count, which we print out is 0, unless at like this instance it's not 0. File star plus 8. Yes, I am doing all those things. Maybe I'm off. Maybe this should be OXC. I don't know how this. There might be padding on this. Something strange. Nope. That's definitely 0. We can do 64 just to ensure that we've done this right. I64U. and 0, 0. So I'm not sure how it's getting to this mem copy, and it's somehow having something to copy. Does it mean size of file? Yes, it does. God damn it. Thank you for pointing that out. I fucking hate when that happens. I'm so bad at this stuff. This is why I do assembly and not C. If I'm working in assembly, this isn't a problem. Oh shit, now my history's messed up. 4095, and then it becomes 0. So it looks like it will be trying to copy 4095. So I could actually crash my program, I think. If I do... Is it actually copying 4095 over my buffer, even though I didn't tell it to do 4095? Let's try this out. Ooh, that's... How would my program ever run? That makes no sense. N bytes. If n bytes is greater than data size, buffer size is not equal size max, mem sets, buffer too small, mem copy, n bytes. And then here it seems we loop through while stream count is not 0. Okay. If stream count's not 0... Oh, we don't loop around, we just decrement the count. N bytes. Stream count. Oh, I see. Oh, count is less than it. So this is now valid. Never mind, this makes sense. This makes sense. Before I was ignoring this and assuming it was count. But what's going to happen here is we're going to say count is less than 4095, thus use count, and it will copy count over my buffer of this buffer which is never touched. Now, this is starting to get really tricky because how the hell is count getting set to 4095? This might not actually be a problem in the read, but a problem in the write. If I get rid of the write, it seems the buffer is not initialized. And yeah, the buffer doesn't seem to be initialized, nor the count, until I do a write. And if I do a write, it seems to be 4095. So what I'm thinking is that, for some reason, I'm assuming if I do 2 here for the fwrite, it will now say 4094. Oops, I ran the build it. So now it's 4094. So what's happening is basically the count is being corrupted based on 4096 minus the num bytes written. So what's happening is something, upon the first write, something's probably initializing a buffer. And I'm curious if we do a read of 0, 0, will that get a buffer going? I don't think so. That should stack overrun. What? What? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to anyone? If I do a read of 0, that should not crash. If I do 1, 0, will that... God damn it. Stack cookie failure. So, if I do a read of 0 on that, I'll crash. How is that? Oh, fread. Shit. God damn it. I'm so stupid. I am so stupid. There we go. That's what we expect. Yeah, it doesn't initialize it. And if we put 1 here, it wouldn't initialize it either. Ricky, don't go to dinner. I keep making these stupid mistakes you're helping me correct. We actually want that fwrite. So it seems like if we were to write 4096, then what's going to happen is it will hold because it hit 0. If we do 4095, it should try and read 1. Okay. And then, okay. That's what we expect. What if we do 4097? Does it roll over? Does it go negative? No. How does this make any sense? Damn, Folk, you shouldn't compute computer. Have you considered motivational speaking? I'm thinking of maybe doing life coaching. I'll tell people what they want to hear. Charge them a lot of money. Okay. So we'll go back to here. Debug break with libc. So there's something about this write, which is initializing the buffer, which is strange. So let's sp fwrite. Let's see where fwrite enters. So here's fwrite. If count size is 0 or count 0, that's nice. Fucking clean up your code, bastards. Validate return. Just checking for stream not null here. Yep, that's fine. And then we go to fwrite no lock. Wait, how do I say folk? I say folk like folk. Folk? Folk? No, I say folk. So we are in fwrite no lock. So what we're looking for here is something that initializes stream buff. If any buff. Is this where it's actually... I think any buff might be where it's doing all of its stuff. Flag, IO, my buff, n buff, your buff. My buff, no buffer, or your buffer. And this is saying, okay, stream already has buffer, use its size. Otherwise, buff size is internal buff size, which is 4096. So that's where we're, okay, 4096, that looks right. So basically, if there has been no buffer allocated, is the way I'm reading it, then buff size is internal buff size. If the buffer is big and has room, copy the data to buffer. While count 0, here's the main loop we go through until we're done. Of course you do. If the buffer is big and has room, copy data to buffer. Stream count. Where's stream count getting set, though? I don't see stream count getting set. And if I print before I do the writes, if I'm not mistaken, count has not been set. And nor has anything else. Yeah. So buffer is 0 and count is 0. Okay. If count is not equal to 0, it will not enter this. If count is greater than buff size is 4K, count is not greater than that, so it will not enter that function. It will fall here. Buffer is full and not enough characters to do direct write. So do a full buff. I don't know what a full buff is. C equals data, and then FLS buff, and then buff size equals stream buff size greater than 0, return buff size, otherwise 1. What is full buff? FLS buff. Else Unicode. Where's the actual definition of this damn function? Really? There's no matching, there's only one matching tag. Alright, we're gonna assume this is the same damn thing, which I'm sure it is. FLS buff. If stream flag IO. Check that IRE, blah blah blah. Stream count is 0. We want to see basically where this is set. Car count equal to 0, 0, 0. If any buff, not any buff, get a buffer for the stream if it's necessary. If not stream is and it's DTY get buff stream. I'm assuming we're hitting this. Put a debug break up here. Go into go in here. BAE1. What did I do? What did I do? I broke everything. I ruined it. I ruined it. It's all dead. Okay. BAE1 get buff. And it looks like we've hit get buff. And did we hit it in FLS buff? Yes, we did! We're following the right path. God, we're so smart. We're so smart. I think this is where we are right now. At line 43? That makes no sense. FLS buff, get buff, DV. String is this. So if we do get buff and we return from get buff, whoops, return from get buff, UV rip, and racks. So is this basically the buffer that we're going to get? And this is what we're expecting, is this ADA70 to come through, because this is what was returned. Let's make sure there's no other references to get buff. There aren't. So this is definitely where we were. So this is saying we don't have a buffer allocated yet. We want to get buff. And then it says if big buff. Where's if big buff? You rip. So here we're going to test with 108, and I'm assuming this is going to be 108. There's going to be two flags here ordered together. My buff or your buff. And which path are we going to take? Test RBX with 108. R. And where's my 0 flag? 0 flag is 0. Jump equal is the same as jump 0. So we are going to jump. And this is doing RBX 1010. So I'm assuming that we have skipped over this, which is fine and dandy. Otherwise, car count is this. So we should enter into a write. You rip. You can use remote when debugging in IDA. Yeah, I don't know. WinDebug's just so much better than IDA. You rip L10, and you can see here's the call to write. So this is where we have entered. We have created a buffer. We actually want to go into that function. We never went into there. Get buff stream. Get buff is going to stream equals string. Okay. Stream base is malloc CRT internal buff size, which is 4K. Okay. Got a big buffer. Buff size is internal buff size. Otherwise, we didn't get a big buffer, and buff size is 2. Okay, so that's Unicode. We're using the @ sign. If you don't use the @ sign, so he's talking about you rip, where I use @. If you don't use the @ sign, it can potentially try and resolve rip as a symbol, and then you sit there where WinDebug hangs for 3 years because it's trying to resolve rip as a symbol. So I guess we are getting a big buffer. And then it's setting buff size to internal buff size, and it's setting count to 0. So at this point, count is 0, which is fine. So buff size is 4096. We should be in big buff here, and we'll see a loop in here where we are move EDI eeks written equals write fh stream base car count. So we are writing fh. What is write? Write is write no lock, and that takes int fh. So is this? Oh, this is like a Unix. I see. It's a Unixified version of it. So this is one of the Unix wrappers essentially. If car count is greater than 0, which it's getting from stream pointer minus stream base, which it should be, written equals write into stream base of car count. The way I'm interpreting that is that it's writing my 1 byte into that buffer. And then, actually, I think we might actually be in this code path. Is there an AND with FFF? I do not see an AND with FFF. If in def Unicode, otherwise do a write of car. Call write with move ECX, EDX, right? R9. Where's EDX coming from? RDX is RBX plus 10. And if we DQ poi of that, this is DQ. Okay. Yeah. I think we're up here then. Inconsistent IOB fields. Stream base equals ch. And then if written is not equal to car count, stream flag, IO error, return an error. Otherwise, return the character. FLSW buff. So, if I'm correct, when I return from this, we should have stream, and if we do DQ on this, what we'll have is FFF. So there's our 4095. How is that becoming 4090? Alright. I guess we missed it, so we will go back into that function. What was that function called? Get buff. B81 get buff. Okay. Break on get buff. DB. Let's return from this. DT DB. And ch stir. Oh, do I not have access to the file handle here? I do. Why is the file handle called stir? So here we have, this is where the buffer is, and that's what's going to be copied. And then over here we have the length. So somewhere this length gets set. So if we do BA W8 on this address, we should be able to run until it's access, which is an FLS buff plus E0, U rip, UB rip, U rip. I'm just trying to see where we are here. So we moved into RBX plus 8 from EAX, moved RBX plus 24, which I'm assuming is going to be 4096. This is going to be the length. Yeah, so we can see this is the length, 4096, and then it's decrementing it, and then it's moving that in there, and we're in FLS buff. So it seems like the core problem here is in this FLS buff. And somewhere we're subtracting 1, which I'm assuming is here. So count, stream count is equal to the buff size minus the 1. So this is where we are. So how does this work for normal reads? Is this the count left in the stream? Stream buff size. That's the size of the buffer. Stream pointer is base plus that. How does this make sense? This, if big buff, then we set this up. What? What? Does this work on a normal file? What the shit? How did this ever work? I must not be recognizing those fields correctly, and they must do something different than I think they do. Pipe, no such file in a directory. That's fine, let's do WB plus on that. And go. And buff contents. What? This is on an actual... This is an actual file now. Maybe this isn't just pipes. Maybe this... Holy shit, really? No way. Is this whole library just completely fucked? File fd equals open test.text, and then we'll open this for write binary plus on fd, if not fd, error open error, fuck off, turn -1, close fd, and then we'll do a, we'll make a buffer, and then we'll write fwrite fd11 buff. That's backwards, buff 11 fd, and then fread buff 1496 fd, and then printf buff. So what I do here, I think this is just completely fucked. CL test. Fuck off. What did I do wrong here? That. Test I. Oh, that's fine. 512. But that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. It's this whole fucking library! And I can zero that out. Memset buff 0 size of buff. Look at that! Look at that! This is any file. This is any file. If I fopen a file, then I write 1 byte to it, I zero out my buffer, and then I read into it, the file should be empty, and I get garbage. I fucking get, like, whatever's on the heap at the time. If I p this, and I, unit 64T on the, so basically, get a pointer from there. What did I do wrong? Did I not build? Oh, of course not. Let's just do that. Can we do that? Legal indirection. Fuck off. Include stn.h. See, that's from the stack. Like, this is just how. This is the actual Microsoft code. This is. I thought this had something to do with pipes. It has nothing to do with pipes. This is anything. Fail of the day, Microsoft. This file. This is a memory disclosure. How is this possible? How do you fuck this up? Alright, who wants to try this program on the machine? Like... No, I opened for WB+, which is reading and writing. Yeah! Yeah, this is really bad. This is absolutely terrible. Oh, I thought it was all these pipes. Do I have an older version of Visual Studio? I need to see what the original code was for, actually let me see if it works on, do I have Windows 8 installed? Hyper-V, SP3, we can boot that guy up, and we'll boot up this Windows 8.1 box as well. Who will win the race? Windows 8.1 or Windows XP? Go, 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 go. It's a race, it's a race. Da, 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 da. Preparing automatic repair. I guess I kinda nuke this system. Thrustmaster? Yeah, that's my joystick. It's my joystick. My pleasure joystick. It's a USB pleasure stick of joy. Thrustmaster. So, alright, who here has a Windows 8 box and can build and run this on their machine? Does anyone have a Windows 8 box? By any chance? Actually, let's just restore this. I have a snapshot. Revert. Don't revert. Come off. Hyper-V. 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 I want to return to clean and apply. We'll boot it. So no one has a Windows 8 box. I think this is only 8.1. Like, how does this work? Who developed this? It's basically saying they're... oh, I have no idea what the password is. When in doubt, ASDF. And Spox. Come on, fuck off. Get rid of my mouse. What's this box? Let me see. CD, CD, VM, if you want to try it on your box, I mean, I'm not going to give you the binary, you can just run the, if you have a compiler, I'd love if you could build it. Password is incorrect. My ass. Oh, never mind. I knew the password. Is there any chance you could build this and test it out on your machine? Very kindly. I've tried it on like multiple machines before, but here's the code. This is kind of a fail of the day. By God, what a mess. Okay, we got Windows 8.1 machine, VM. Oh, why did I open that weather app? Desktop is what we want. Do I have... Media disconnected. You ass. Connect to V1. And we will connect to him. Really? Damn it. Should have this box named 192.168.8.78c $ get holla. Alright, we got firewall. Come on. Slow as ass. No, I don't want to switch between apps. Fuck off. God damn it, Windows. I'm not... Yeah. You just... This shouldn't exist. Like, you... It's... allow an app through the firewall? What the hell is this? Why does this not go away? Okay. Can I not do advanced firewalling? Advanced, there we go. God, I haven't used Windows 8.1 in like so long. I always do Windows Server. Inbound rules, new rule. Fuckers. Watch me configure a firewall. Da 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 da. And these aren't even sorted? Like, what the shit? Oh, they are sorted. Never mind. What? Why is this so convoluted? So much easier on Windows Server. Settle down? I don't know how to settle down. 192.168.8.78c $. What's the username on this box? Picard. Okay. Fuck off. What? Really? God damn it. Alright. Why can't I connect to this damn machine? I just did. Alright, fuck it. We'll just show it on... We'll try it on XP. I don't think it exists on XP. Do I want to activate Windows? No, I don't. Are you kidding me? Damn it. Alright. Well, we've got a VM here, which is running a checked build of the Windoidles. This is Windows, Windows Server 2012 R2. Oops. I want, shit, what do I want? I want Vulns. Vulns pipe. Test.exe. So there it is working there. So it's definitely a problem. And I don't know how this ever worked before. I seriously don't know. VC CRT source? Oh, sweet. FLS buff. Where is it? Why you do underscores? FLS buff, and here we can go into the same. Let's go to 157. Big buff. This is the same code. So does this work on Windows 8 as well? What about Windows 7? I don't think I have a Windows 7 box. Do I? Server 2012 Debian. I do not. Alright, I'm going to set up a Windows 8 box and a Windows 7 box. And then I'll distract you with something more fun while they install. 7 Alt X64 Gen 1. 48. Connect to this. And 32 gigs, 64 gigs. Setting up Windows virtual machines. More virtual machines. Dev OS's Windows 7 Alt SP1 Enterprise N. Yay. And then we'll turn this off. And we'll turn this off. And once I do this, we'll do something more fun than setting up VMs. Windows 8. I never type out Windows. What am I doing? X64. Isn't this fun, guys? Isn't this a lot of fun? Yeah, it doesn't fail on Linux. I don't think it fails on Windows 7 either. Oh, that was more than I wanted to do for hard drive. Oh well. Win80 settings. That's correct. Oh, come on, just go. Dev OS's Windows 7. Nope, we want 8. 8. SP0 and N. And come on, this one connect, power on. Yeah, so it might fail on Windows 7. I guess it looks like it should fail on Windows 8, and I don't think it will fail on Windows 7. I can go pull the CRT sources for Windows 7 if I have the Visual Studio. Win 8 and 7. Is Windows 7 2020? Is that correct? I think so. I wonder if I can just get a file from here. No, that's not gonna happen. What's beeping at me? Something just exploded. Oh my god. We need to get this installed somewhere. We'll install this on one of my servers. Here we go. So we should take this and we'll drop it on this server. So I'm just installing Visual Studio 2010 so I can see the source code for CRT on. That's not what we want. We want to actually just connect in there. This is debug 02. 02 C dollar. Paste. No leak on Windows 7? If there's no leak on Windows 7, then I guess I don't need to set up these VMs. I guess it's too late now. But we'll test 8. But it seems 8.1 there's a leak. It seems 8 there's a leak. And the kernel doesn't use fopen at all. Does it? It doesn't use MSVCRT. I shouldn't be checking for the presence in the kernel, should I? I tried it on OpenBSD and I got flag ROFL LOL MS suck at POSIX. I like that. I like that. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it seems to be a Windows 8 and 8.1 thing, but like, did no one test it ever? How is this? how has Windows 8 been out for like, what is it, 3 years now, and they haven't fixed it? The joys. The joys. Alright, hurry up. There's a problem mounting the file. No, there wasn't. It's right there. Windows, why you lie to me? So, to talk more about your initial point you were saying of how is this exploitable, I guess if you have control of a read plus or a write plus file operation, if you have access to the file name, you can get a memory disclosure, and it looks like it's a stacked memory disclosure, so it looks like you can get an ASLR bypass. An ASLR bypass from fucking open a file and write to it and then read from it. I just don't know how this is possible. I want... Fuck this, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this. C++. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, meanwhile, we can bring up my VM fuzzer. Making up music. VM fuzz. VMware is fun because you get these fun asserts. Here's one we might get. Come on. Come on. It's about to die. It's dying. It's in the process of... Oh, it lived. It lived. This is fun. Stuck in some weird situation. Check on that install. That one's almost done. This one I didn't even accept the license terms for. And reboot the VM. Where's my cursor? Where's my cursor? Damn it, VMware. Control Alt. There we go. More efficient to use the Windows API anyways. Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to give you a VMware assert while we wait for Visual Studio to install so we can see the source. Crash, damn it. Crash. This is the most boring demo ever. Did I like disarm this fuzzer? Seems to do nothing. Come on, Visual Studio. Do your thing. What is wrong with the VM? Oh, if it actually crashed the desktop. Yeah, VMware doesn't crash the desktop. You'll get a pop-up after running this a few times. It should happen. I don't think I modified the this code. It still should. Yeah, if it blue screened, I would be so happy. I would be so happy. I'm not familiar with VMware at all. I don't really know what the asserts mean. All I know is I get a lot of asserts and crashes. So, come on, fucking load, bitch. This OS should just print that to the screen, and then it just gets corrupted over time. This is strange. Usually VMware asserts by now. I'm very disappointed and sad. It's dead. Let's see if this is installed enough yet for us to see. VC, nope, no CRT yet. Come on. This was working the other day, and now it's not because it's live. Yes, it is camera shy. I should pet it. Oh, there we go. VMware workstation, unrecoverable error. VM entry failed, VMCS valid. What the fuck does that mean? Then I can go look at this log file. So, VMX crap, VMX crap, VMX crap. Where's the actual thing exploding? Monitor panic, VMCS valid, triple faults, those are fine. But core dump to here, saving anonymous memory. Oh, try it with 3D acceleration. I don't really target devices yet, so odds are it wouldn't matter if I have the 3D acceleration on or not. But we can grab this file, vmcores.gz. We'll bring it over to my host and edit vmcores.gz. You can see I've had a few crashes. So I don't know why they use this VM cores crap. I have no idea why they use like a Linux core dump format. If someone can explain it to me, that'd be awesome. But I just have no idea. I wonder if you tried calling VM enter. Oh, it's not. It's definitely not due to VMware and Hyper-V because it's a separate box. This is a separate physical machine, completely separate from the other guys. Well, that's my main machine, but this one's different. So it's one of my workstations. So what the shit? Like, I don't know what I do with this VM cores thing. Like, does anyone know what to do with VM cores? What does it mean? What does it mean? VMM64, VMware, VMM... Fuck this, strings. Is there a key in here? Is there a key that just says, like, go to this website for Ode? That'd be cool. Generating list of strings. Generating list of strings. I don't really know anything about VMware, so someone might actually understand what the hell, Yeah, okay, VMware, Alec, this is from my program, so I think so. No, it's not. Never mind, I lied. Stop lock, Linux GCC version, like, what? I don't get this. Like, is this the context of... How do I get the damn crash state of this thing? Because I know it cored, but what... Panic, CPU ID... like, I don't think these have anything to actually do with it. Why is my IDA so slow? Like, what the hell's going on? IDA's probably using the same core that my Twitch stream is using or something like that. Launch this on Linux. See, like, here's the VM core stuff. VT. Like, do they have, like, a elf loader in the kernel where they'll, like, load up an elf into my kernel and this is what they use for the VM core? Dumping core and suspending the VM. But this is, like, the actual print strings. What do I do with this? I don't even know anymore. I'm questioning life. How do I say IDA give me, like, ASCII strings? PMM function number E20. Yeah, what do I do with this? I have this core dump, but what does it mean? Is there another file on there that I'm supposed to use? Oh, it looks like CRT came through. CRT source and full buff, I think is what we're in. FLS buff, and we're looking for line 163. Fuck off, Visual Studio, you suck. Alright, we're gonna open this in Notepad. So here it does the same thing. Car count greater than... Is the source different for... do they? I wonder if they released a different version or something like that. Because this looks like the same damn thing. FLS buff. If not any buff, do not get the buffer. If and any buff, big buffer assigned to stream. Like, this is the problem. Does it do anything to count later that would fix the thing? Like, what just happened here? Oh, Visual Studio is coming up slowly. Piece of shit. Can we build this? Can we build libc? Do they have a make file in here or something? And T64. Like, maybe it happened in Visual Studio 10. I don't think I have Visual Studio 9. I don't. I definitely don't. I have these redistributables. Okay, I think they ship a different version. Like, how? Alright, where's my Windows 7 VM? They're not Central Time, we're Eastern Time. Preparing your desktop. Preparing your desktop for toning. Alright, back to the VM core stuff while that boots. So we got VM cores, right? And we got the log. Does the VMX dump correspond to it as well? Like, should I be looking at the dump? We'll pull that over to the host as well. Maybe I'm supposed to look at the dump alongside of the thing? What the shit? How did this ever work? Windows crash dump file. But this is just going to be in an assert. Should be. We are in ntdll, return. What is our stack? Fuck this, we're opening this in Windybug. Windybug, open crash dump. Code F. See, exception code cafe babe, that means it's been handled. Which makes sense. And there's just gonna be like a stub here that probably just saves the core dump and then prints that stupid window. Maybe VM cores is inside here. We can see that in a second. Alright, let's see if the other VM's gone. There we go. It lives. It lives. Ah, shit. I hate that one. Good. Perfect. We can drop that file on the web server. Dev phones pipe test and pipe and put that into global. Delete. Oh, fuck off. Okay. It's still doing symbols. Windows 7 pipe.exe. Save it. Save it. Test.exe. Save it. So we have a problem there. And I think we have a debug break on that, so that makes sense. So this is still leaking. This is still a big problem. Maybe this is what I build it with. So let's bring it over to the other VM, I guess. Fucking hell. If we go dev, moms, pipe, test.c, and then we bring this to here, and fucking open you window. Here we go. Notepad, Explorer dots, CL tester C, test.exe. That's crashing in VC10. Or not crashing, but it's a problem there. So Windows Server 2012 R2 with VC10. Okay. Am I really gonna have to install? CD drive, mount a different disk, insert disk, dev, SDK, Windows 7 SDK. So it seems like maybe it has to do with the compiler. Shit. SDK, Win 7.NET FX. The days before .NET FX was on everything. What a shitty life. What a shitty life. Type. Can I compile it statically? That's what I think it might be doing. VMware VMX not found. That doesn't look like a normal call stack. What the shit? .cls star TV. Device out of control file, out of control file, out of control file, out of control file. Context thread, multiple objects, get user message, get message, wait, multiple objects, alert thread. Yeah, I don't quite understand what's going on. I'll build it statically, 1 second. I'm going to install SDK 7.1 as well. We'll go really far back. So, if we go to debug 02, CL with MT, still a problem. And if I do CL MTD, interesting. Look at that, if I do MTD, you can see it's just returning the, MTD is multi-threaded. It's not static. I don't think there is a way to do static, is there? Link with, yeah, I guess it is static. But basically, if I build it with the debug lib, you can see I get the CDs in there, which is like, this is uninitialized, you shouldn't be using this. We write shitty code. But this is 64-bit, we can try 32 bits. So, Visual Studio, is this x86 tools? Yeah. CL, test.c, test.exe. Same problem. And if we do MTD, oh my god, MTD, test.exe. Same problem on, so on Windows Server 2012 R2, built with a statically linked from VS 2010, still having problems. So now we gotta wait for this to set up, and then we can do SDK 1 on Windows 7, and then I'm assuming it won't work on SDK on Windows 7. But back to the VMware thing, I have no idea what to do with this. Like, how am I supposed to do anything with this VMware crash? Like, look at this call stack. What the shit does this mean? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Like, .frame 1, KB, .frame 2, rip. Get context thread, .frame 3, 4, 5. You rip. Yeah. Yeah. But this isn't where the crash occurs, this is where like the dump occurs. So I think the actual like crash has to be in that VM cores. But I have no idea what the VM cores file means. Oh, I can sort by length. Yeah. So is there... the question is like, where does this stuff print out to? We can actually look for these strings. Maybe this is in the log file. We'll put this on the side. Then we'll bring up where the crash occurred. Wrong machine. Is this machine? VMware.log. And there's no other files. And whoops. So we can look over here, and maybe what happens, maybe these VMX messages get piped through, so we can look for like host name. Okay. Host info. Uptime. This shit makes no sense. vCPU fault, blah blah blah, that's fine, all the cores die. And halt, do nothing. A fault has occurred, causing the virtual CPU to enter the shutdown state. CPU reset hard. DMA port 7, bad byte access. Okay. Oh, that's fine. These are fine. But stopping vCPU threads. Dude, I don't even know. I have no idea how VMware works. Wait, this is... VM cores. VM cores. Saving anonymous memory. Which I'm assuming is what this VM cores thing is. Triple fault, shutdown state, dumping core for vCPU 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Faking exception to get context. This is in the actual dump itself. Core dump, blah 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 blah. Including threads, unrecoverable error, VMCS invalid, log file has been put there. You can request support. I don't want to request support. To collect data, choose. Nope. Why would I want to send this to them? Vix tool's not running in the guest. I don't think that's part of the error. I think that's something separate. But I don't know what to do with this information. Maybe someone else knows what the fuck this means, this VM cores file. But it's... Does IDA not know how to open like a core file? Maybe if I loaded this in GDB, it would be able to tell me what's going on. But then I need the actual thing that VM cores belongs to. Makes no sense. Let me look for strings. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A, B, C, D, E, F. That's not mine. That's not mine either. Like, I think VM cores is the actual code that runs or some shit. But I want register context. How do I even? Well, I'm gonna enable that 3D mode just for funsies, and we'll see what happens then. Maybe we'll get a better crash. Die in a fire, and come on, die faster. Dun 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 dun. VMFuzz. What is it? I go into display, accelerate 3D graphics. Yeah, that's what I want. I don't know if this will change anything. The dump file is basically like where the assert occurs. So there's like an assert in the actual VMware workstation thing. Now maybe there's like register context for each core in that dump, so the dump then can map to the VM cores somehow. I have no idea, and it looks like we just exploded again. So we're coring out right now. There's this vmem file. So we just cored out not implemented PCI monitor. And now VMware, I think, is completely screwed. So what's in this thing, this VM cores? Or this vmem? I think this is actually the memory. NVRAM. Open with MRVM. Yeah, I think this is the. Can I compress it? I think this is the actual state of the VM as it crashed. So that's actually not going to be valuable. But we can keep running this and we can give it like more cores or something. Maybe something will happen if we give it more cores. Come on. Just die already. Looks like it's in a state where it's somehow surviving in a loop. More cores. More cores. 16 cores? 8 cores, all we can do? Alright, perfect. It may perform poorly. Maximum number of 8? You can only have 8 cores? What the shit? What good is 8 cores? Minimize it into an anti-VM check? Oh, it's trivial. There are so many anti-VM checks. Like, fuck that. I'm not gonna waste my time on it. Like, if I were to, do you think people actually care about VM checks? I can find you 100 VM checks for VMware, like, instantaneously that don't even depend on... I guess they depend on kernel access. Yeah, never mind. They need kernel access. But, because there's so many ins and outs that aren't supported, that on hardware, if you access them, nothing happens, but on VMware, if you hit them, you'll get the asserts. Although, the thing I always tell people who are always saying, oh, I'm going to find like a VMware, or not a VMware, I'm gonna make a VM system that can't be detected is bullshit. You can't do it. Like, I mean... In theory, you can, but if we just like pull up core i7 errata and I like bring this shit up, come on, fucking load. Maybe Chrome will crash right now. That'd be fun. Come on, do stuff. Do stuff faster. All right, fuck off. We'll let you load. Oh, it's loading. Really? Oh my god. Why is this taking so long? Intel, you suck. Where were we? So we can also try the... Well, actually I want to get that VM set up. This one... And computer, this, yes, install, yes, 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 .NET, fuck you. Alright, we'll get that SDK installed. So here we go. This is the reason why you'll never make a VM non-detected thing, because here are all kinds of bugs in VM, or in actual CPUs. So if someone is reporting to have an i7, but their single data translation look-aside buffer bit 62 in the MCI status register doesn't get set after there's some shit. Like, look at all these bugs. These are all CPU bugs. And unless you implement all these CPU bugs in your VM thing, you can't do shit. Like, it's so easy to detect if you're in a VM. You just go through one of these and you just say, oh, how about this one? Just send a message to the APIC and see if it gets received or not. If it doesn't get received, then you're not in one. It's like all these things. And the thing is, these aren't actually, like, patched. A lot of these aren't patched at all. So, and this is just for i7 900 series. Like, for i7 800 series, they'll have a different one. And for the i7K series, they'll have a different one. It's like, you're not going to implement every single one of these bugs in your little VM program. Like, you're just not. And all I have to do is write a program that can search for one of these bugs, and problem solved. I know I'm in a VM, and it doesn't require me to, you know, do anything nasty. It's just, it's stupid. It's stupid. Never try and, I don't know. Alright, SDK. It's installing VMware. I can run on VirtualBox. I have VirtualBox on another system, which is this one. I use 4 VM 8 cores each for distributed password cracking using VMware Workstation. Yeah, but I'm assuming it's per oops, this is the wrong OS. Wrong OS. I want storage. I want change my flops. This is so convoluted. There we go, VM fuzz. This should be the same thing that was running on VMware. And we've got 9 processors on this guy. 9 cores. I haven't actually gotten VirtualBox to crash. This is not a VirtualBox crash. That is a crash in my OS. I don't know how to disable all the dialogues. Actually, I do know how to disable the dialogues. You can disable the dialogues, but only when you're running on 1 core. So if you have 1 core enabled, basically the second I get a single fault on one of these cores, I'm going to get this message, which has nothing to do with like an actual bug in VirtualBox. Although it's funny because my OS keeps running. And then it goes into guru mediation or meditation, whatever the fuck it is. System, if I set it to 1 CPU instead of 9, then, wait, what was that execution cap? I better not be capping this. Oh, I'm not. Okay, cool. If I run this now, instead of getting that dialogue, it should just like continuously reboot. But I actually haven't gotten VirtualBox to fall over yet. I can get VMware to fall over. Haven't gotten Box or QEMU to fall over, and I don't think that's because my fuzzer doesn't work. I think that's because Box and QEMU are just emulating, so they're too slow, and thus they don't find anything. It's hard to fuzz something that's in an environment where you're emulating an entire OS in an OS. So this guy, you can see this guy will reboot. I don't know if the frame rate's fast enough on the stream, but basically it will very quickly, when I triple fault, it will reboot. So we can just let this sit, and then we can come back to it, and maybe something will happen with it. And this should just go indefinitely. And I could try and run it in parallel, where I like bring up another one, essentially. Hopefully they don't lock down the file. Invalid object state. I think I just need to make a copy of that file. So if we critical error, yeah. So still it still goes into that like guru stupid mode, which is really fucking annoying. Because it means I can't actually find a crash in anything. If the dialogue keeps popping up, how am I gonna get it to crash? I haven't tried Zen or anything like that. How do I turn these messages off? Fuck off. I don't want to see them anymore. I haven't tried Zen, mainly because I've never used Zen before in my life, so I don't even know how to set it up. So these crashes are all, I mean, we can check this right now. Maybe these are crashes in VirtualBox, but I'm pretty sure they're not. These are triple faults. Fuck. Minister, VirtualBox, VMs, loop, logs, open. So if we look here, search for guru. So invalid opcode. So basically I had an invalid opcode, and for some reason, instead of just rebooting like it does for everything else, it fucking just dies. Then it has the guest states. Kind of eating dinner a bit as we go. The hypervisor state. So CPUM disassembly invalid opcode. And we can see what the other log was. It's probably the same damn thing. Physical page reserved. Just means it's trying to access a page that's not in there. We can look at the CPU in the VM state. RIP beats 78. What is the actual? Oh, I see. It basically jumped into the screen. It's trying to execute like the screen buffer, and VirtualBox doesn't like that very much. So sadly, it'd be very hard to get VirtualBox to actually fall over unless I ripped out that interface. So I'm fuzzing VMs now. What was the conclusion of the info leak? Still haven't concluded it. We're just waiting for the SDK to install, which it has installed. So we can bring the file over here. Basically, we tested it. We built it with Visual Studio 2010 on server 2012 R2, and it's a problem. And we tried it on, of course, Visual Studio 2013 on server 2012 R2. So I'm going to drop it onto a Windows 7 box with the SDK 7.1. And if it doesn't repro here, then that's probably where the ball stops rolling. So we can do test.c. Really? Really, Internet Explorer? You're not going to save that file? How do I save it? Control S doesn't work. Save as. Ah, you. I want to... God, this browser is not the best. What's this? Do I already have it? Oh, no. There we go. Test.c. There we go. Open, do the stuff and the stuffs, and then we'll get an SDK prompt open. Come on, SDK. CD users downloads cl test.c test.cl. What? That's having a problem too. What? What? Okay. So it works on Windows 7 with SDK 7.1. Where does it stop working? Has this always existed? Like, how can... I don't even know. I really have no idea what the hell's going on. Can anyone, like, not get this to work on their machine? If you build the source file here and try and run it on your machine, can you get it to not work? If it doesn't work, like, then tell me what your specs are. I mean, this is not an updated Windows 7 machine, but if it's in Windows Server 2012 or 2, I bet it's not just a patch that was shipped out that only patches Windows 7 and SDK 7.1. I'm rudely eating. Yeah, so basically what it seems to be doing is that for some reason it's saying that there are this count here. Now it's either, it could be one of two things. This count could mean that this is the number of bytes remaining left on the stream, and it's not the write that's failing, it's the read using the count incorrectly that's failing. But the way it seems to be right now is buff size is going to be 4096. What's going to happen is 4096 bytes are going to be allocated for the buffer for the read and write operations. And what it seems to be is that for some reason it's doing buff size minus 1, and then it would be subtracting from buff size from the. Basically, it's moving the size into the count, which is making a read attempt, the following read attempt, to believe that there is enough data in the buffer already, which there isn't because nothing has been put in the buffer yet. I really have no idea how this ever worked, honestly. So, I mean, count could be the number of bytes left in the buffer, but then why in... So someone asked, count is the number of bytes left in the buffer. Now, that would make sense, but then why is the read operation reading count? I don't understand. I honestly have no idea how this ever worked. Like, does no one do a... I mean, am I doing something wrong? Am I going to get to the end of the night and I'm going to say, oh, I just did something obviously wrong on my end? But I'm not. I'm opening a file, I'm writing 1 byte to it, which is completely valid. I can write 1 byte to it. I zero out my buffer, and then I read from it, and I read uninitialized data. I mean, this is wrong. And I don't think it has to do with binary. I think if I do it without binary, it will be a problem as well. Problem without binary. If I do it for read plus, it works as well if it's just a read. What? Is that working for just a read? What? I wonder if this is returning an error. And here I'll do if fread is -1. So what should happen in this write, like, look at this! I'm opening a file for writing. I'm writing a byte to it, and then I'm reading a byte, and it's not returning an error. fread error is -1, right? Like, this is... Doing fwrite, okay. Fwrite, oh, it returns 0 on an error. Never mind. What I'm thinking is this is probably returning an error, but it's still copying my It's not returning an error. Okay, we'll do this, and then this, and oops, we want this to be an fread 512. So I have a file open for writing only. I can write a byte to it. It says it wrote a byte to it, and then I can read 512 bytes from it. I can try a rewind on it. That fixes the problem. Where that's returning an error if I rewind. So it seems to be a problem if it's not rewound or something. But, I mean, why is it that when I have a file open for writing, that I'm able to read from it? I have it open for writing. I say I want to write 1 byte, it writes 1 byte, and then I try and read 512 bytes, and it reads 512 bytes from a file that's only open for writing, and then it copies that into my buffer. Like, is this a problem when I'm at the end of the file? fseek fd0 seek set. I think that's the correct. And then if I do seek end, if I seek to the end, that's fine. If I seek end 100, that's fine. Seek cur, that's fine. So doing an fseek like fixes the problem. There's something very fundamentally wrong here. And is there a way to figure out who I am? Yeah. I'm not running as admin. It's not like it's an admin thing. Like, there's... Okay, you built the code linked to Win7x64. And it simply returns 0. What compiler are you using? Because if it's returning 0, that should be fine then. Let's see. Trying to figure out how this is. For some people it's fine, and for others it's not. Yeah, Visual Studio. So it works on other people's machines. Return 0 without the write, yes. So basically, it seems to be a bug for everyone. For like, the one person who said that it was a it returned 0 said that he was using GCC, which is fine. But GCC won't use this library, so it won't be vulnerable to the same attack. I just don't understand this stuff. Like, how It's really messing with my head if I do fseek. Let's actually do a blind pair on it. Let's see if an error is written. No error, no error. And if we get rid of the fseek, it will say no error again. Yeah. What the crap? It makes no sense. I don't get it. This is obviously a problem. And this should not exist. Even if I memset to like 4 ones, if I memset A's, it's still overwriting my A's. It doesn't have to be a pipe. This is so fucked. I wonder if I try and read like 8192. I think this should hang. Int pointer t times pointer equals buff, while pointer is less than buff plus size of buff. Printf %p deref pointer plus plus. Yeah. So here you can see these 4 ones are from me, but it's copying this like arbitrary garbage on here. There's also this data size variable. Are you talking about in the data size in the what is it? It's like a 4-parameter thing. It's in the memcopy. I think it's int max because what's happening is it's a normal memcopy going into like a safe memcopy, and they just put int max in there. I think that's completely fine. I don't think that's a problem. That's just because it's all they can put in there. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Am I going crazy? So let's make a Python program. Let's try this in Python. Test.py. And fd equals open test and fread nulloc s. Data size. Data size is buffer size. Interesting. That might be, yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I'm gonna try and test this in Python quick. fd.write a fd.read print fd.read 4096 fd.close. File not open for reading. Okay. So Python is probably already checking it. But look at this. Like, this is in Python. I'm getting binary data. Like, this is so broken. If I do r+, same thing. And if I import a library, like import, what's a library? Socket. I'll probably get some different printout here. Import numpy. Like, look at this! Look at this! I'm opening a file for write plus in Python, then I'm writing an A to it, and then I'm reading 4,000 bytes from it. Look at this! This is like in fucking Windows! It's been in Windows forever! Oh, test.py won't work because that's a different Python interpreter in my system. Like, this is so broken. This is so broken. did you? What it seems to be, Ricky, if you're tuned in, if you're not, what it seems to be is that the buffer is allocated. Basically, there's no, when you first open a file, there's no buffer yet, like actual buffer. And then when you finally do an operation, a buffer will be allocated. In this case, the first operation is a write. And the write will end up going into this function called flsbuff, which will then call, it will go down this path where it does getBuff. And getBuff will populate, if we actually go into it, you'll see it will take the stream, str, not string, but stream. It will allocate internal buff size for it, which is going to be 4K. And then it's going to move that into the base. And it's also going to set it as myBuff. And it's going to set the buff size to internal buff size. Then what it does is it ends up entering this function. The reason it enters this is because myBuff is set. You can see here if myBuff. So we're entering this part. And it does stream count is equal to the buff size minus size of tchar. In this case, I don't have Unicode defined, so it will be 4096 minus 1. So count equals 4095. Then a write will actually occur to the thing, which will end up it'll read it to the base, essentially. It will save it to the base. But then this will basically return all the way up from here. However, then we go into a read function, and the read function will enter here, and this is going to say if there's any buff, which there is a buffer, so we will hit this part. And when we hit this, you'll see any buff is going to check for myBuff, which is set. And then we're going to, so we will enter this part. It will say if the count is less than 0, then exit or something like that, which is fine. We won't hit that because remember, counts is set to 4095. And then what happens is this will say if the count is less than count. Basically, this is a min. Min between count, which is the passed in count, and the actual count internally. So it's just going to do a min between those so it doesn't overflow your buffer. Then what they do is they do a mem copy into your pointer with the stream pointer, which is set up here, of n bytes, which is going to be stream count size. Like, this never could have worked. This literally never could have worked. Either the write is wrong. It's very broken. And the cool thing is you can tickle this from Python. I think this is fine if I do a read first. If I do a read of like 1 byte, if I print this, and then I do a write of A, and I do print fd.read 512, I think this should get rid of the bug. Nope, still a bug. So I just don't understand how this ever worked. I mean, I'm hitting it from Python. This is binary text section stuff in Python. And you can read 4K. It's a 4K info disclosure. It's a 4K heap info disclosure, is what it is. So, I just find this so fascinating. I can try test.py. This will use the non-Anaconda build. Same thing. So this is the normal Python build. And look at this, it's printing out my application. It's actually printing my application. If I put A's in here, it will print this out. Look at that. Oh, this is great. This is great. I don't know how this ever worked. Oh boy. I think we understand exactly what's going on here. So I think we've kind of wrapped this up. Yes, I think JDuck has it right, where it should be subtracting the count from the internal buff size. Or it should be using a different buffer for reads and writes. I really have no idea. Like, why is the write buffer related to the read buffer? To me, that makes no sense. I guess you can intermix that. Nah, it's silly. Yeah, I think they got confused about count as well. But this has been in there for forever. This. Now I'm trying to think of like things that use this. Can you think of any other? I don't think I have Perl. Nope. Does anyone know Perl who could rewrite this Python program in Perl? I'd be curious because I could get Perl and try and run it and see what happens. It's just open a file for W+. Although Perl might not. Will Perl use the C interface? I don't know. Perl open file. We're gonna learn some Perl. Buffering is like rocket science. I mean, this is just kind of disastrous. So, oh, interesting. I wonder, does IDA have evals in their Python? Actually, Python print hi and dot write fd equals. I want to do this in IDA. It works in IDA. Man, this is hysterical. So I could send you. So you can already use this as a Python info disclosure. Because I can easily access this, I can say buff equals this, and then I can like do operations on it. Buff 0 to 7 print stuff like that. It'd be fun to make a Python exploit that uses this. What else? So this is a Python. I mean, look at this. It's printing out, like, everything. Oh, this is beautiful. Incremental encoder. Decode. Blah, 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 blah. What else might use the interface for read-write? Does JavaScript? Is there any way of JavaScript with like the local storage? If JavaScript uses yeah, I don't think there's any way to actually open a file even with permissions. Document.open, yeah. I'm trying to think of anything. What else is there? XML? No. I don't know, it might use the POSIX API. I'm trying to think of other interpreters. Like, what's a use case of this thing? Nothing in the kernel is going to use POSIX, so that doesn't matter. Chrome plugins. Local links. Nope. You can access the entire file system. Trying to think. What is something that would allow you to, in a browser, ActiveX? Has anyone ever done ActiveX before? I wonder if C# is vulnerable. Probably not. I don't think C# would use the POSIX API. That'd be stupid. Now I know to never use POSIX in Windows. Well, Python's using it. I bet Perl's using it. Yeah, so is there any code that you can get running that you'd have access to a POSIX API, but you wouldn't have privs? Ruby. I don't know Ruby. What's a Ruby interpreter for Windows? Ruby installer? Let's try this. How do I do this in Ruby? How do I do oh, just download the Windows installer from RubyLang? Well, that's what I'll do instead of running that. RubyLang has a Windows installer. Installing Ruby. Windows. Ruby installer. Oh, that's what I just downloaded. Cool. Run, accept, blah blah blah. Give him test.rb. Alright, how do I Ruby? Ruby open file. Oh, it's a class? Oh, shit. Open. Watch me try and open a file in Ruby. F equals file new. F.write. Can I do that? A. F.read. 4096. Print. Attack. We don't need to close it. Fuck it. Ruby. Fuck. SQL program. Where's Ruby? Did I miss it? I missed it. Oh, there it is. Ruby 200. Now, since this is formatted in this very in this Unix style thing, what I think is this was probably built with no such file in a directory. Okay. Yeah. Wait, does that print work? Okay. Does that actually write an A to the file? it did write an A to the file, and then it read yeah, what I'm thinking is this is probably built with GCC, this Ruby, and that makes sense. Most things, when they have like this bin pathing stuff, means that it's built with min-gw. I bet there's min-gw in here, or libc or something along those lines. MSVCRT Ruby. Let's see. GCC. Yeah, it was built with min-gw, so this isn't gonna work. How did PHP not come up earlier? The issue is there's like no good PHP engine for Windows. No one uses PHP. It could do like CGI maybe. CGI wouldn't use it because you don't have an option. I wish there were some, like, imagine if you could get a browser, like get a plugin installed in a browser, and then you could get an ASLR bypass or something like that with printing out the data. I'm kind of running out of use cases. There's really not many for for this. It'd be cool to see this in a CTF where you like eval Python. You have to dump the dump the program. Like I could make a CTF challenge right now if I take this Python program, and I just say gbin test py, and I do like I put the key here, key omg win. And then if I just do test.py, I can get the key out of it. However, if, like, you could just have this blacked out in the actual, like, source code, that'd be kind of funny to do that. But it'd have to be running on a Windows host. I don't think many people are hosting their CTFs on Windows. But, I don't know, is there any other interpreter that you can think of that would be built with VC? Because I think we've kind of milked this one dry. I guess I probably am going to want to do a write-up on this and publish it to like NetSec or something. Maybe tell Microsoft that their code sucks ass. But, which is a shame because the kernel code's so nice. Why can't they have the kernel devs work on this shit? But nevertheless, I don't know whether or not I'm going to wrap up the stream here. We definitely know what's going on in this bug. I could transition into some OS dev. I don't know, I might also just go eat or something like that. So, I don't know, this is just fairly humorous. Fairly humorous to see. I think at least for right now, I'm probably going to wrap this up. I might come back in like an hour after I eat and do some OS dev stuff. Otherwise, I'll do OS dev tomorrow. I don't think I slept much last night, so I might want to go to bed early as well. But you can follow me on Twitter. I'm Gamozo Labs. So, Gamozo Labs. If you go here, you get to see all the cool stuff that I'm planning. So, while I slowly start doing more streams and more interesting things, I'm probably going to do a lot of OS dev streams. This will probably be relatively boring, but I'll try and get some hacking ones and CTF ones in there as well. That's all I can say for now. I'm gonna head off and follow me on Twitter at Gamozo Labs, GAMOZO Labs, as you can see on your screen. Or follow me on Twitch as well if you like this video and you want to see more. God, I sound like a fucking typical YouTuber whoring myself out. But hey, it would be fun if I had a lot more people interacting and asking questions. It was good this time that I had a good crowd of people asking questions, but it'd be fun if it was even more and more and more. So, nevertheless, I'm going to be off. I might come back in maybe an hour. I doubt it, but if I do, that will be OS dev stuff, as I just added ASLR and memory management to my kernel. So, see you guys later. I'll probably be around.